Welcome back to the Discover Fort Smith podcast. My name's Josh Bufink. I'm with the city of Fort Smith, and today co-hosting with me is Ashley Backert.
Hey.
She's the executive director at the CVB, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is known as Discover Fort Smith. And so thank you so much for hosting with me today. And today we are at the Chaffee Barbershop and Military Museum here in Chaffee Crossing. If you've not been out here, you need to come check out the exhibits, check out everything that's here. We're going to talk a lot more about it today, because we have somebody with the Chaffee Barbershop and Military Museum, Miss Emma Markowski. Thank you so much for being here, Emma.
Well, thank y'all for having me.
Yeah.
This is really exciting.
So how did you get involved in, first off, are you from Fort Smith?
I am not. I am from Bergen County, New Jersey.
Okay. So from Jersey to Fort Smith, how did you end up here in Fort Smith, Arkansas?
Long story short, I married a military man. He is a part of the U.S. Army Recruiting Center here. So when Uncle Sam tells you to go someplace, you just follow and go along with it.
What I think's really neat is, how long ago was that you moved
2
here?
years.
So in the past 2 years, you have gotten super involved in the community. So what all do you do around the community? I know you volunteer and do a bunch of things. So
Yes. So I work at Miss Laura's as a docent, which is how I really did get involved with the historical community here. But then I started volunteering, particularly here in January of 2024. Nice. We just taken on a new director, and she needed some help with the archival space, and it just kind of went off from there. And I just really got involved with the military history community also all over the United States and honestly internationally as well. We have connections with the Czech Republic and a bunch of other really awesome places. So I've got to collaborate with them while working through here. But it really just started there, just organizing the archival space, and then it turned into, hey, would you like to curate one exhibit? And then it turned into, would you want to curate a couple exhibits? And it really just went off from there.
Have you always been really interested in history, or is this like a newfound?
Oh, absolutely, from childhood.
Oh, okay.
My mom is a history teacher.
Oh, shout out to your mom.
Yes, Jackie, if you're watching, love you.
Yeah.
But I grew up with American Girl dolls as well, and that was a really big foundation in really getting me involved in history and getting me really interested in it. I really fell in love with Molly's story in particular, which takes place during World War II. And I've always loved 40s fashion. Grew up with a grandmother who was really into old Hollywood movies. So that's just how I would wind up watching and learning about what that time period was like.
Yeah,
and
I love film noir and stuff.
It is it's just so aesthetically pleasing to look at. But then when I went into high school, I wound up taking a Holocaust and Genocide Studies course. And that really shaped my worldview on what that particular time period was like. And I just really got interested in it. I went to college for a bit. It wasn't for me. I did go to cosmetology school, but I studied cosmetology from a historical perspective. When you go to school, you have to learn about the history of cosmetics, ladies' makeup, all of that. And war plays a very big contributing factor into the way that women's fashion has changed all throughout the eras, on top of makeup as well. So for me, it was really important to pin down what not just the 1940s was like, but all of the other eras and decades. I actually won the decades contest at my school, so that was kind of cool. But it really just went from there, and I wanted to work on movie sets, but it just wasn't really going to work out due to the fact that I do move around quite a bit. But when we moved here, I just got involved in that way, and it's been awesome ever since. I'm really living out my dream job and dream career.
Oh, that is awesome. That's awesome.
She truly is a gift. So, the CVB, we helped manage Miss Laura's, and Emma came on, and your perspective on things and your views and stuff like that, like, she's a gift to Fort Smith.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We continue to have people that are just gifts to Fort Smith, but I know you're going to eventually leave us because Uncle Sam will come calling and make that happen. But
and you've raised their social media game too. It looks amazing if you don't follow them.
In this area, I mean, the change into this. So let's probably pivot into what exhibit are you most excited about in this space?
Honestly, the trench. That was my baby. I spent a year researching the history of World War II, getting to know the families of the men that are on display in my exhibit, getting to know the families of the nurse that's on display in my exhibit, along with collaborating with international museums. The Pilsen Museum, actually the Patton Memorial Museum in Pilsen, they helped me out with curating the space for the 16th Armored Division and the exhibit that's actually just right over here for the Liberation. But really just that exhibit in particular and the Homefront exhibit at the end of the trench as well. That was a really labor of love and kind of a love letter to the women who stood by the men the entire time that they were fighting overseas.
Yeah. And a lot of people may, think of this space as, where Elvis got his military haircut, right? Which is awesome. Very cool part of history. But there are a lot of things that people may not realize happen in Chaffee, in Fort Chaffee. So what are some things that people may not know about this area history-wise?
Well, we just commemorated the 50th anniversary of around roughly 50,000 refugees coming over all different parts of Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and other countries that helped us during the Vietnam War. After the fall of Saigon, they came here. They had to get sponsors, but they actually integrated themselves quite a bit in the Fort Smith community, which is awesome. So we have a large footprint from them. And that was a really, really fun event. So we got to commemorate that. And that was a very big historical moment that had taken place here. But we also have the Liberators of the Buchenwald concentration camp attached to our history. The 6th Armored Division trained here, and they were the first men into that camp. They intercepted messages from prisoners that had escaped, and they are still commemorated and remembered over in Germany. We also have the liberation of Pilsen as well. The men of the 16th Armored Division trained here for 2 years, and they liberated Pilsen in the Czech Republic. And it essentially was the largest, well, not largest, excuse me, it was the deepest penetration into Czechoslovakia, because it was Czechoslovakia at the time, that the Americans had accomplished.
Wow, that is awesome. So whenever you, so what would like a tour or a guide, what would you do if you come in the museum? What would that experience be like? Do you get a tour guide, or like what's that like?
It's self-guided. We do actually have interactive exhibits that we encourage the public and especially children to come and try out. We have an M1 Garand exhibit, so you can actually hold an M1 Garand and feel how heavy it is.
Nice.
But it's self-guided. However, though, our volunteers are very knowledgeable. Our museum is really built off of our volunteers. They have helped us out in so many different ways, and that's really how all museums are. Volunteers are really the backbone of museums.
Yeah.
And for us in particular, they're educated on certain topics, all the way from Elvis Presley and his military career to even General Chaffee, who the base is actually named after, to the Vietnam War and just all of the other exhibits that we have in here.
I am sad that I did not know that this was named after General Chaffee until this moment just now. So
I think you should just, again, move on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
His exhibit is right here.
Yeah. Well,
it's blocked by
there's just the more you know, and that just goes to show that a lot of people need to come out and see this stuff.
Absolutely.
And read it and learn the history of the area. So what you mentioned, volunteers being the backbone. Do you all need volunteers right now? Is that something that's constantly ongoing?
Yes, we do. And what I would really love to see is a large veteran presence out here. We're not just telling the history of their great-grandfathers and grandfathers and maybe even fathers. We're telling their history as well, because Chaffee was still a very much active military base up until the 1990s, and now it's a National Guard and Reserve base. But we really do encourage military spouses, veterans, anybody within that community to come out and volunteer with us. We really are looking for people to help us run the museum and educate the public on the exhibits that we have on display.
Nice. What's you guys train them on different things, I assume?
Yes. Okay. So we do have a script that they can read if they choose to, but we also have a library that's in our break room. So there's books that they can pick up and read. And if they have fun little factoids that they find in there, I really heavily encourage that to kind of maybe curate a little bit of a tour themselves that's unique to their personality and that really does mesh well with the public.
Nice. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I mean, outside of volunteer, obviously, this is a lot of artifacts and things. And, if someone's interested in maybe like they're going back through grandparents, great-grandparents, and those types of things, are you guys on the hunt needing certain items that if people come running across, it's like, please bring it to us and let us continue to share that history?
Absolutely. Also, if you own a Chaffee tank, I am on the hunt for a Chaffee tank to put outside of the museum.
Oh, like the full tank.
Yes, that would be nice. I would love one. So hopefully this reaches the right audience for that. I'm really shooting for the moon on that one. But awesome. I'm also looking for anything pertaining to the 16th Armored Division, 6th Armored Division, 14th Armored Division. I would love more artifacts pertaining to the refugees that came over at the end of the Vietnam War. So things like that I'm definitely looking for. I just asked that it pertained to Fort Chaffee because I'm running out of space.
Do you have any particular stories stand out of somebody who's visited the museum and maybe learned something or saw something even from their own personal family history or anything like that? Any stories that stick out to you?
Yes, I have been working with a woman named Valerie Coleman, and her grandfather was a part of the 14th Armored Division. They're actually featured in Apple TV's Masters of the Air because they liberated 110,000 Allied prisoners of war overseas. Cool. And her grandfather's love letters are actually in my home front exhibit. So he's the one who illustrated all of those cute little drawings for his wife. So she wouldn't forget what his personality was like. But she came down last November with her mother, her 2 daughters, and a bunch of other people. And her mother brought a photo of her father along with his dog tags. And when she first saw her father's picture in the exhibit, she just started crying. And then Valerie started crying. And then I started crying. And then my husband started getting a little teary-eyed. But it was just a really, really awesome moment. And then when she saw the love letters in the exhibit, she was like, God, I miss him so much, but this is such an awesome way for him to be remembered and honored for what he did during the war. Yeah.
Why do you think it's so important to preserve history?
Because typically there's a whole saying where history repeats itself. I like to say history rhymes rather than repeats itself. It may not look the same, but it definitely plays out very similarly. Yeah. And we are doomed to repeat it if we don't remember it, which is why I'm pushing for a lot of education. So if teachers are listening, please bring your class to our museum. We will have a whole way for you to plan a field trip. We'll be able to answer questions. I really, really, really am focusing on the educational aspects that we have here. And we have a wonderful, wonderful way of educating the public when it comes to really heavy and difficult topics as well.
Right. So if somebody were to want to bring their class or volunteer, what's the best way for them to get signed up to do those things?
Definitely emailing Jennifer Seaton Rambo.
Okay.
Her email is Jennifer@Chaffee Crossing. Okay. She is the director for the Historic District, and she'd be the one to coordinate that and triple check with me and the other volunteers if they'd be able to come in and help out.
That's awesome.
So the museum is a piece of this area, and I don't know how much you can kind of share, but tell us about maybe other things that are happening in this. So when people are coming in, what else is happening, growth and development? What big events do you guys host? So if people are interested in coming, it's okay, there's more to do here, because there truly is more to do here than just this museum.
Yeah.
Yes. So we host the Chaffee Crossing Artisans and Food Market every third Saturday of the month. And the proceeds for that go back to the Historic District and actually funding and preserving the history here in the museum.
Nice.
So if you want to support us in any way, shape, or form outside of just donations of artifacts or coming in and donating, that's also a really great way not to just also help out those people who have those lovely booths out there, but also coming to the museum as well afterwards is also a great way to help out. We also have our Veterans Day Parade, which will be taking place on November 8th.
Yeah.
So definitely worth it to come and check that out.
It's a big parade.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. We have a fleet of Jeeps that come and they vary all throughout the eras. So if you're a history nerd like myself, it's definitely worth it to come out and take a look at those really historic vehicles. We also have a bunch of veterans that come. And last year we had a 100-year-old World War II veteran come.
Wow.
So I'm hoping I can get him. And then there's a local one in Fort Smith. So I'm hoping I can get him and his family to come as well.
Wow.
Very cool.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, recently transplanted to Fort Smith. What kind of things do you do when you're not hanging out at the museum here or at Miss Laura's, which has a ton of events too? What do you like to do in your free time?
I run a historical page on TikTok, and that's taken off to levels that I did not expect. I didn't think people would really care to hear what I had to say initially. Yeah. I just started it for fun, and people were like, well, tell me more. I am fascinated. But I also really do enjoy vintage shopping here in the area. We probably have some of the nicest antiques, in my opinion, in the entire country, just in not just Fort Smith, in this area in general. So I go around to estate sales. I also go around to the local shops and I see what people have in their booths. And typically I walk out with one or two things. Yeah. It's very rare that I don't.
What are some of those antique shops, or what are some of your favorite places?
My favorite has to be Belle Starr. I also really like Olin & Co. My other favorites have to be Remember When. I actually found a vintage World War II sweetheart bracelet there, and I saw that and I was like, I am walking off with you.
Is that on Rogers, like close to Walgreens? Is that Remember When?
It is a little bit more near where the Cisterna Plaza is. It's actually right across from that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's in a little green warehouse type of building.
Okay.
But we also have Through the Years. That's another one that I really like. Also Treasures at Century Plaza as well. They have a wide variety of stuff, and you can get lost in there pretty easily. Nice. And then also Grand Antiques as well is another really big favorite of mine.
So you go into these places and you find these amazing, you're just talking about this bracelet and stuff. Obviously you have an eye for it, but
I don't even know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm like, I go to these places, I'm like, I don't know what how would you recommend someone experience our antiques and our vintage markets that maybe don't have that eye? Yeah. Like, what would you recommend?
I would recommend making a list of things that you like, or a Pinterest board, and seeing if you can find certain items that match the list or the Pinterest board. Go in knowing what you're looking for. Don't buy something on a whim. Now, if you really love something and you want to buy it on a whim, do that. Yeah. However, though, if you're going in looking for maybe like a vase, or looking for a particular style of clothing, definitely do a little bit of research ahead of time, make a list, or have photos to look at. Mm-hmm. And typically somebody will be able to help you. Right. Also, the ladies who work out of these establishments are very knowledgeable individuals, and they know what's in the booths. But definitely plan ahead of time and then go in and take a look and see what we have.
That's cool. Do you ever go into one of those places? This may not make it to the podcast, Joe. Do you ever go into one of these places and they're like, we know Emma, we got the backroom stuff for you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Like they've hidden away.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Emma. Beth at Belle Starr and Heather at Belle Starr. Heather called me one day and she was literally like, so this lady came in and she brought in a bunch of nylons. I can't put it in a booth because nobody brought it in. Do you want them? And I acquired like 50 boxes of vintage nylons from the 40s and 50s. I'm still going through those boxes, by the way. I haven't finished using all of them. But yeah, that happens on occasion. That, or they'll actually call Angel at Miss Laura's and be like, hey, so we have this really interesting piece of furniture. Would you like it? Yeah. And typically it's a yes, but there are some cases where like it's just this monstrosity of a wooden piece of furniture that we just can't put anywhere. I'm like, I wish I could take it, but I can't, unfortunately.
That just goes to show you need to get to know the owners, make friends, let them know what you're looking for, and then they may be able to help you out along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
So you guys enjoy, you and your husband, you guys are out and about. Favorite place to eat? Places to go other than antiquing? Like, what's his favorite thing to do? Because I'm always interested on the other side.
He really loves to go to one of the gun clubs here in the area, and he's an infantryman. So the way the Army operates when it comes to recruiting orders is you have your MOS, which is your job. So he is an infantryman. He's what you see on TV when you think of somebody in the Army. He's actually out there shooting, kicking down doors, doing all of that. But in his spare time, he still likes to kind of do that as well. Yeah. And since he's not on the line anymore.
Makes it feel like less of a job, I guess.
Yes. He definitely is one of those types of people where like, that they really do love their job. Mm-hmm. He definitely fits that 100%. And he's always wanted to do this since he was a child, but definitely going to one of the local gun clubs, and the name escapes me, but he has a membership there and he loves to go in his spare time. And sometimes I'll go with him, but other times I'm like, you know what? You have fun. You go do that. Yeah. Meet up with your little friend that you made there and just have a fun day doing that. That's cool. That's his all-time favorite thing to do. That and fishing. He also really loves to go fishing here in the area.
Nice. Where do you guys like to go eat? What's some favorite restaurants?
Probably Piero's, and I'm not being biased. I really do love Piero's. It was
so good. The staff is incredibly nice too.
Yes.
That's the part.
Yes.
I love. Like, you walk in once, they get to know you. You come in the second time and they're like, "Hey, how are you?" And they remember. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do you train your staff? It's like Chick-fil-A on steroids.
It really is. Like awesome. The chef and host will sit down with you at your table in the middle of rush hour just to get to know you and your name. Mm-hmm. And he'll walk around also and make sure that all of the food is taken care of and it's up to par, and really, really delicious bruschetta too. If you really, really want a good bruschetta here in the area.
Mozzarella.
Yes.
They pull.
Yes.
Guys, I'm so hungry right
now. I want to go there now.
The chef's from Philadelphia, so as soon as I walked in and I heard his accent, I was like, okay, I know I'm in good hands.
Yeah. Yeah. So does your accent come out from time to time? Like, say you meet somebody from Philly or from the Northeast?
Yes. When I say dog, coffee, coffee in particular, that's when it really comes out. Or water. Yeah. Absolutely. It comes out.
All right.
Those are the three examples I typically give, but sauce is another one.
Sauce.
Yeah. You can kind of hear it, that one.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about being in Fort Smith? Obviously, you guys have moved around a lot. I think every military family ends up having their, like, I will always take away this from that particular place I lived. When you guys finally up and leave, like, what is going to be the thing from Fort Smith?
Honestly, really, the community, they are very welcoming to military families. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's very important with the fighter jet program that has just started here. Mm-hmm. Just in general, to the friendliness of people as well. I was very apprehensive, I'm not going to lie, moving here, just because it's a new place. I'd never been to Arkansas ever in my entire life. And oddly enough, my sister did wind up moving to Little Rock. Out of all the places she could have moved to, she's a reporter down there for one of the local TV stations. So it's one of the questions that she was asking me was, how is it in Arkansas? I'm curious. Mm-hmm. But really, just the community overall has been very kind, welcoming, and kind of really welcomed my husband and I with open arms. And especially those that he has put in the military has also been very kind and welcoming to us.
And for somebody who loves history, I imagine this has been a...
Yes. Well, as soon as I found out y'all had a National Historic Site, I was like, this is really nice. Either way, I will find a way to either volunteer, work, or do something, because that sounds something that is right up my alley.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I just want to say, thank you so much for all the time that you dedicate to making this museum happen, all the work that you've done at Miss Laura's. I know you've volunteered all across the city, so thank you so much.
Creating a TikTok that I think has helped make Fort Smith something. Like, I know you reference and you do the things, but you're TikTok famous.
Oh my God.
And you are, so don't even. She's TikTok famous.
I don't know anything about TikTok, so that...
But there's references, and it's that homegrown content creators that I think also make Fort Smith special, and Emma's a part of that team.
It's so funny. I've been recognized in public like multiple times here.
Yeah,
I'll be out to dinner with my husband and they're like, oh, you run the TikTok page, or you're on social media, or this or that, or you're working at the museums. And I'm like, yep. And I'll be like in Walmart, like mid grocery shopping, and it just catches me off guard. But I've had that happen quite a few times. And even my husband was with me once or twice when it happened. And he had somebody DM him, actually, and said, does your wife run a page? I recognize her. Yeah. So it's very interesting, definitely to say the least, when I'm at like Walgreens picking up my prescription and the person behind me knows me by name. And I don't know who this person is, but that's been probably more fun interactions that I've had here.
And not only are you putting Fort Smith on the map with a lot of those things, but you're really reinvigorating people's interest in history. And that's a huge thing. So thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for being on today's show.
Well, thank y'all for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah.